This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
I said, Coleman, do you sit in your booster seat? And he looked at me and he said, Gaga, it's not cool to sit in the booster seat.
Carol Coleman, you are the board chair of the Ollie Otter Child Safety Foundation. And everybody knows you're the mom of Ollie the Otter. You're right here from the Upper Cumberland, from Livingston, Overton County. And we're so happy to get a chance to talk with you. This is the 10th year of Ollie. And tell us about that. How did Ollie get started?
Well, in 2003, I had a nephew that was in a car accident and died. And then in 2004, my aunt and her daughter were in a car accident. And I just had this feeling that I had to do something, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I needed to do, but I wanted to do something to try to make our highways safer. And so for a year, I would write down things at night that would be on my mind about what I could do. Mm-hmm. And so in 2005, my husband was going to be the president of the Tennessee Road Builders. And so I knew that I would be the lady auxiliary president. And if I could come up with a program, I knew that the ladies would help support it. And so I had talked to my daughter about it. She's a nurse practitioner, mm-hmm. and I said, I want to do something in safety. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, Mom, I think Tennessee has just passed a booster seat law that if a child is under 9 and under 4 feet 9, they're to be in a booster seat. So my grandson was about 8, or maybe just a little older, and I asked him, and I said, Coleman, do you sit in your booster seat? And he looked at me and he said, Gaga, it's not cool to sit in a booster seat. So I knew then that if I was going to reach these children, right, that I had to make it cool. So how to make it cool was to have a mascot. And so during all that time of trying to think about how I could work a program out,
right,
I was thinking about all the beautiful lakes in Tennessee that we cross,
sure,
if we're traveling, and then with the Tennessee Road Builders, I'd need to have a work zone safety, something to appeal to them.
Right.
And so I approached the Tennessee Road Builders, mm-hmm. at the convention and asked them if they would support a program for booster seats for children and work zone safety. So they, I think reluctantly, decided that, oh yeah, we'll support it. And I think some of them said, oh, we'll give her a year, maybe, you know. But then the ladies, of course, supported it completely, and so that's how it started. The Tennessee Road Builders support the program, and they mm-hmm. still do.
So, Carol, now your husband, Johnny Fred Coleman,
yes,
you referenced him. We're going to talk about you and Johnny Fred here in a little bit, but you know, this is pretty impactful because we often hear how one person can make a difference, and you really did make a difference. I mean, you dogged this program. Mm-hmm. You were so passionate about it. You believed in it. What was it in your personal experience that just made you feel like you had to make this happen?
Well, I knew that this program was going to work. I felt it inside. I didn't know how that I could reach children, but I knew inside. I knew I had this passion, and I knew that it was something that was a calling and that I needed to do this. And my son, he said, "Mom, why do you think," he even got copies of newspapers where people were doing different programs. And he said, "Mom, look at all these programs. Why do you think that this one is going to work?" And I said, "Son, I can't tell you, but I know in my heart that this program is meant to be." And so after meeting with Kevin Liska, this was an interesting time. We came to Tennessee Tech and met with President Bell. And through that meeting, he said, and I told him my story, and he said, "You have to meet Kevin Liska." And so we came to the Business Media Center that day, and I shared my story with Kevin. And Kevin had the same passion. He said, "We can do this."
Wow.
And, he had done the program for Dolly Parton, books for
the Imagination
birth,
Library.
Imagination Library. And he said, "We can do it. Basically, we can use that program and we can get out to the schools and do the program."
So sort of take that same model
Yes.
and recreate Ollie the Otter of really a grassroots effort, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you
Yes.
started just sort of right here.
Yes.
But that it spread out to, like, now you're all across the state. You're in 9 states.
Yes.
Right? After these 10 years. I think I wrote down how many, it was amazing to me how many people have been touched. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of people have been touched
Yes.
by this. And it's not just teaching the children, is it?
No, it's teaching their parents, their grandparents, their brothers and sisters that drive them around. That was kind of the story, was if we can teach these children that are young.
Right.
We go to 4th grade through 5th grade. That was the program that we had thought we would start with. And so we now go to like pre-kindergarten.
Oh, really?
Up to the 4th or 5th grade.
Because it's not just booster seat, it's also seatbelt.
Yes. And so we thought that if we teach them now, as young as they are, that when they get older, they will have the habit of, using their seatbelts. And so that was the main heart of the program, is the seatbelts. And not only the children, but their parents and grandparents and their brothers and sisters that drive them around. So when we go into a school, we have all the children in the gymnasium or outside, and we ask them, we teach them about work zone safety. We have the big orange barrel, and we get students from the audience, and they are construction workers. They'll have on the yellow vest, and then they'll have the hard hats. Maybe a little boy will be wearing a hard hat, and a little girl would be wearing the vest. And we'll say to the children, "Well, now, what are these children?" And they'll say, "Construction workers,"
Right.
And so we really get them involved in knowing what a construction worker is, what an orange barrel is, and to ask their parents to slow down in a construction zone. And so
that's great, Carol.
Yeah, so that's real important. And we've had, like, we ask the kids, to write Ollie a letter or draw a picture. And if you go to the web, you'll see some of the pictures. It's hilarious,
Well, it is a great website, and it's something that people can learn from. And I know so I wrote down 72,000 kids, 34,000 classrooms, 9 states, all across Tennessee.
Yes.
Did you ever dream 10 years ago when you were fighting to get that first person to hear you? Did you ever dream it could be this?
No, but I felt that if we could just get all over Tennessee, but to now be in 9 other states is just, it's amazing. I am so humbled by, you know, all of the areas we are and all the states that we're in now. But we, you know, as far as students, we have already went to like 750,000 students, and it's
oh wow, bigger than just the immediate kids.
Oh, yeah.
That I said 750,000
Yes.
students.
Oh,
Wow.
yes. And every year that we've had, you know, of an event, like we started out with 250,000, and then we had 500,000, and now we're, you know, to 700 and something thousand.
And you've stayed involved.
Oh yes, definitely, because I felt like that if I was still involved, that the enthusiasm of the program, but I'm telling you, with Kevin and Julie Brewer, when he found Julie Brewer,
Right.
she is so involved, and she has the same passion that I do. And now we have Callie, and all the people at Tennessee Tech have been so involved that it's an exciting thing.
Yes.
It's still exciting.
Yes.
Every day. Every event I go to, it's still exciting.
What's your goal? Where do you want Ollie to go next?
I want Ollie to be in every state. That would be for all the children to know Ollie and know the meaning behind Ollie. I think that it will save more lives, and maybe we can get everybody to wear a seatbelt.
Sure. Let's talk a little. I know you've had some strong allies with Tennessee Tech, with the TCATs.
Yes.
The Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology have been great volunteers and supporters of this. Tennessee Road Builders, as you mentioned. So many have really been engaged. But, you know, there are people out there that would say, oh, what difference does that really make? Okay, so you've got a big otter, and he goes into the schools, and he tells the kids, but really, is that going to make a difference?
It does make a difference. One of our biggest people that has really helped us too is the Tennessee Highway Patrol. I went and talked to the commissioner then, and he supported the program. In fact, he gave us some money that day because
That's great.
he had had a similar accident in his family with a nephew's friend. And so he every time we go to a school, there's usually a highway patrol, and they explain where the seatbelt needs to go, from belts to bones, and so they have been a really big supporter of the Ollie program. But just to go back and tell you how we know the program works. Some of the kids from Tennessee Tech, we have interns that will go out and actually do the presentation in schools. And we also have the help of the TCATs. We have volunteers from all of the TCATs, and they take this very seriously, and they go into the schools and they do the programs. In fact, a lot of them have bought their own Ollie costumes, and with the Tennessee Board of Regents, they came on board, and so every year we present the TCATs with an award for the school that has gone to the most schools.
Oh, that's great.
So we do that every year. But going back to knowing that the program works, a couple of the young men that were interns had gone to a school over in Macon County and around Lafayette area.
Right.
And they did the presentation that day, and of course then they came back to school, and in a few days or maybe a week, they got a call and told the tech that they thought that we would like to know of an accident that happened after Ollie had been there. And so what had happened is a little boy and his sister had gotten in the car, and he had asked his mom and her boyfriend to buckle up, and he told his sister, "You've got to buckle up." And so they were in an accident, and when the grandma came to pick up the little boy and girl, he said, "Grandma, I did just what Ollie told me. I tried to get everybody to buckle up." Well, the mother did buckle up, but she had very serious injuries and was airlifted to Vanderbilt, and the boyfriend died in the accident. And so they said when they called back and told the two boys that had done the program that day, or the young man, that he just sat down and cried because he knew that that day he had made a difference.
Yes. He saved those children's lives.
Yes.
And he saved that mom.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the little boy was trying to get people to hear him. And I bet you have a lot of stories like that.
We have a lot of stories, but that actual one, we know that day that we did make a difference. So I always wanted to do something for that little boy. Mm-hmm. So after about a year or maybe a little later, he had moved to a school in Kentucky. Uh-huh. So we found out where he was, and we called the school, and we went up and we presented him with an award in front of all the kids in the gymnasium. And that was a real special day. I was so excited to be able to just meet him and let him know that, how proud we were of him for buckling up.
That is so great. That is just such a wonderful story. I want to ask you some other things. I love this about you because you're so passionate about it, and it's such an important story. But there's a lot about you that is important. You have had such a wonderful life, and living right here, growing up here. I've read a lot about you. One of the things I read is that you and Johnny Fred owned and ran Taylor's Crossroads Country Store up there, the general store, right?
Yes.
Did you do that?
I did.
Well, now, how did that come to be?
Well, when Johnny's uncle died, mm-hmm. Johnny's father did not want the store to go out of the Coleman name. And so he talked Johnny into buying the store. So there wasn't anybody to run it. And so Johnny said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, sure, I can do it." Mm-hmm. And so I got the workers, and I'd go out there every day and see what they were out of. And it was such a wonderful time. It was an experience to, sit on the porch and listen to the old men tell about what it was back, then.
Right.
And so it was a fun experience, and I enjoyed it.
Now, how did you and Johnny Fred meet? Because you didn't grow up in Taylor's Crossroads, did you?
No, but Johnny did.
Okay.
In fact, he lived right beside the store by his grandmother and grandfather. Uh-huh. And he went to independent school, and we met, it was about the 5th grade. He was playing basketball, and I was a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. And I went to Livingston Elementary, and so we kind of became friends then, and he would come to town on Saturdays, and we'd go to the movies. And so then when he came to high school, we dated mm-hmm. some in high school, and then we kind of quit for a while, and then when we were seniors, mm-hmm. We got a little more serious, and so then we got married in 1959.
Wow.
And so we've been married, 47 years?
That's amazing. That is so great. And you've spent your whole life there in Overton County?
Yes.
And you have children?
Yes, we have 3 children, and our son came back home, and he's been there about 22 years in business with his dad. And then we have a daughter that's that lives in Nashville, but she's getting ready to move back to Livingston.
Oh, wow.
She's a nurse practitioner. And then we have a daughter that lives in La Jolla, but she works in LA. She works for Sotheby's.
Wow.
And she's in the contemporary art department. So
that's fantastic.
We have 5 grandchildren. They're all in college except one. And then we're getting ready to have a great-grandchild.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Is that just a wonderful part of your life, too?
Yes.
It's just family, friends?
Yes. Yes.
And gardening?
Is. And gardening.
Let's talk, because I know you've been on Live Green, Tennessee before, and let's talk about that. Why is that a passion of yours?
Well, I guess my grandfather, Ledbetter, let me help him in the garden when I was little, and I'll never forget it, because he had a mule, and I would stand behind him, and I got to hold the reins while he plowed, and I got to help him in the garden. And then my grandmother, Maynard, was a big gardener and loved flowers, and I've always had a garden. I had a garden when we first married. Didn't know how to plant it, but I had a garden. And then Johnny's mother was a gardener, and I learned a lot from her. And I always wanted a really pretty flower garden. And so when we built a new house, and about 21 years ago, and I had just had the most perfect place for a garden, a flower garden. And so I love it.
And you still do that?
I do. I worked in it yesterday.
Wow.
So
is it multi-seasonal? Do you? I guess flowers you can't grow way into the season.
No,
right?
it's more of English garden. I have it's like a 4-section maze of boxwoods that you have to keep trimmed, and then I have a white garden that everything in it's white. It's a Magura garden for my aunt and her daughter and Alex, and so that's a very special garden. And my granddaughter just got married in that garden.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm excited about that.
What? We're here, you know, everything kind of starts with a vision, doesn't it? I mean, Ollie, your gardening, so many things. It takes, though, really to have a vision first. And I know you're proud Tennessee Tech Business Media Center has grown into this incredible iCube Innovation Lab. What is it, Carol, in you and your past that caused you to just be visionary? You are visionary.
Well, I've thought a lot of that. I was always brought up in the church. My grandfather was a Baptist minister, and you know, I guess I have a passion for trying to help others, and in a year in my life when I was very, very ill, a lady said to me, I was trying to get back on my feet after an illness, and she said, you know, all you put into the lives of others come back into your own. And I have lived with that. You know, I haven't shared that with very many people, but when you give, it comes back. And I've always wanted to give. You know, I work in my church. I do the landscaping in my church. And I work at I'm on the library board, and I do a lot of the landscaping there. And I just love to be doing something that I can help. It's not that I'm, you know, want to brag about what I do, and I don't, but I want to help and give back because I know that it not only helps someone else, but it helps me. And that's just something that I live by.
Well, what a wonderful gift. What a wonderful gift you are. What a wonderful, thank you for sharing that. I know that's a lot for you to share.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm grateful for that. I told you this time would run out way too fast. We're out of time. I didn't get to ask you about riding motorcycles, even though I know you did. You went cross country like 4,000 miles. And you just are a spectacular person. And thank you for the gift of Ollie the Otter. Thank you for the gift you're giving children every day to be safe and reminding their parents. And most of all, thank you, Carol, for this time. It's just been great.
Thank you, and I appreciate it so much. I'm so blessed, and I'm so blessed to be able to do this. Thank you.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.